Hello, this is Gaurav Singh, and today we are going to start our first chapter of the second book, that is Politics in India Since Independence. In this book, we are having the 9 chapters, that is Challenges of Nation Building, Era of One Party Dominance, Politics of Planned Development, India's External Relations, Challenges and Restoration of the Congress System, the crisis of democratic order, rise of popular movements, rational aspiration, and recent developments in Indian politics. So, these are the total 9 chapters what we have to cover. Okay, now the first chapter and the name of the chapter is Challenges of Nation Building. There are 3 terms which I want to make your kind attention here. I want to draw your kind attention here, that is challenges of nation building. First is challenges, means difficulties. Nation, that is India, and building for its regeneration, its reorganization, because as we know, at the midnight on 14-15 August 1947, India attained independence. Okay, and the first few years of independence were full of challenges, like freedom came with partition, which resulted in large scale violence and displacement and challenged the very idea of a secular India. So, in this chapter, the story of Indian politics since independence, by looking at different kinds of challenges of nation building, were negotiated. Okay, in the early phase of after 1947. Understood? So, here we will understand the different aspect. Okay, so in this chapter, first few years of the life of independent India were full of challenges. Then some of the most pressing ones concern national unity and territorial integrity of India. Let's take an example like a family. Okay, where 2 brothers are there. Understood? And after getting division and the separation of the family, because as we know, today's India is facing nuclear family. Everyone want to live or reside separately. So for that purpose, there must be the division of resources, there must be the division of the territory, there must be the challenges for the survival, there must be the social integration, because ultimately we are human beings, we cannot sustain without society. Okay, so this was just an example I quoted here for your better level of understanding. So we begin the story of politics in India since independence by looking at how 3 of these challenges, how many challenges were there? 3 of the challenges of nation building were successfully negotiated in the first decade after 1947. Okay, so after 1947, it is experienced by the then leaders, what is the challenges in front of them. Okay, how they can establish a complete India, that was the Akhand Bharat. Okay, so they tried their best, and the freedom came with partition, which resulted in large scale violence. You understood about the violence. Displacement, that is someone from the Pakistan, they again came back to the India, and the Indians go back to the Pakistan as per their choice. Okay, earlier there were no concept of Pakistan, but it was the forcefully idea or forceful idea of Ali Jinnah. Okay, he was very much sincere and conscious for their community, that is Islam. They want to make a special country, okay, in the name of Muslims, and that was nothing Pakistan. Understood? So it was a very challenged the idea of secular India. Secular, as you know, there is no state religion. So this was a very big problem at that time. And the integration of princely state into the Indian Union needed urgent resolution. As we know, at that time, it was uh, more than 561, princely states were there in India. So, in front of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, Nehru ji, Gandhi ji, okay, is that to integrate all that princely state to make a complete India, that is Akhand Bharat. Okay, so it was very challenging task in front of them, and they were also conscious to integrate those or to merge that boundaries into the country. Okay, so the internal boundaries of the country needed to be drawn afresh meet to the aspirations of the people who spoke different languages. At that time, it was also a very big challenge and the problem in India, that was the diversification. Diversity means in front of uh, Gandhi ji, in front of Nehru ji, in front of all the leaders at that time, okay, in the function, they were very much worried about the division of India, because it was the demand of most of the most of the lead people, that they must be divided on the basis of their language, culture, okay, and the religion. But it was not possible because structure, okay, and the boundary imagined by the leaders was not like that what people were thinking, okay. And it was also one very big challenges for them to separate all that province and the states. It was very big challenge in front of them. So you can see in this picture, the before 1947, this was the structure of India. Understood? After partition, it became the structure, that is East India, East Pakistan, and it is what, West Pakistan. Okay, and then East Pakistan, and now it is Bangladesh. Okay, so it is Lord Mountbatten. Okay, discussing about the partition, India and Pakistan. It is a picture of the migration of Indians to Pakistan. Okay, and this is also a cartoon picture in which Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel is negotiating about the princely states and with the kings, okay, of the kings. This is the very simple partition picture of Pakistan and India. Understood? So this was there. Now in the Hindustan Times, it was also covered by the journalist, end of 200-year-old British rule in India. Understood? So it was also a great uh, festival for the Indians, that the Britishers has left the rule and hand over the administration and all powers to the Indians. Okay, it was very very good achievement for Indians, especially Indians. Here He is Jinnah, the first Prime Minister of Pakistan, and he is Nehruji, Lord Mountbatten. They all were, talking about the partition and the rules and regulation they were making for both the country, both the nation. Okay, so this is the picture of that. This is also one of the displacement scene you can see here. In this picture, they are displacing from India to the Pakistan, and some Pakistanis are also coming back with the help of this British train. Okay, at that time train was under British rule. So it was the scenario, means a massive displacement was there. Not even one or two people were thinking and they were taking the consent. No, it was the massive. Understood? So this was the scenario, and suddenly it was very much challenging because India was, uh, less of, resources, because all the resources and the manpower was exhausted by the Britishers itself. Understood? So this was the scenario. This is also Hindu Muslim in Kolkata 1947 marked the end of communal violence by jointly flying the flags of India and Pakistan. Means this is the symbol where it is indicating that Hindus and Muslims get together, okay, and they were, showing that there is no any, communal violence which was there, okay. So it is shown there by flying the flag of both the countries, okay, from uh, trucks patrolling in the city. Okay, so these rare photographs captured the joy of freedom and the tragedy of partition in India. Okay, so this was very, sad part of the story at the time, okay, for India. Now, what was the challenges of the nation building? As the first, the first was that, first of all, at the hour of midnight, 14 to 15 August 1947, okay, India attained independence. It's very much clear to all. Okay, India attained independence. Jawaharlal Nehru, the first Prime Minister of Free India, addressed the special speech or a special session of the Constituent Assembly that night, in the same day when India got freedom. Okay, and this was the famous Tryst with Destiny. Okay, and speech that you are familiar with. Now I'm going to describe what was the tryst of with destiny. So tryst with destiny were the word used by the Nehruji while giving the speech on the eve of India's independence. And what is the literal meaning of the tryst with destiny? Means to make a sacred deal with something that is in destined for us. Okay, in case of India, the word destiny refers to freedom. Okay, so he was talking about the freedom. Understood? Because freedom come with partition of the country, which made people what, homeless. This was a very big challenge, and this was the moment all Indians had been waiting for. But this was not going to be easy, because Indian was born in very difficult circumstances. Perhaps no other country by then was born in the situation more difficult than that of India in 1947. So the condition was worst. You cannot imagine about that. So this was the very worst condition experienced by the Indians during 1947. Then this was very difficult circumstances. Understood? Freedom come with the partition of country, sad part of the story. The year 1947 was the year unprecedented violence and trauma of displacement. You cannot imagine. This was the massive violence, massive displacement. It was really so offensive. It was in the situation that independent India started on its journey to achieve several objectives. Means independent India started on its journey to achieve several objectives, because this time it was very difficult for them. Within less resources, less manpower, they were unable to handle and control the administration of the country, because very high level of diversity, which is still it is existing here. Understood? This was the scenario. This is the photographs which I have already dealt about that. Jawaharlal Nehru is speaking from the Red Fort, 15 August 1947, after getting independence. Okay, so this is the photographs. He was the first prime minister. Indian flag had hosted. Okay, it was hosted there, and it is the picture of Delhi, present Delhi. Okay, so this was also the coverage, media coverage at that time. The Hindustan Times were there, covered end of 200 years of old British rule in India. It was the end of British rule, and this picture and this newspaper cutting, it's showing the success of Indians in 1947. Also, one more thing I want to add here. By 14th August 1947 in Kolkata, Gandhiji had stated that, tomorrow we shall be free from the slavery of British domination. Means we will free from the slavery of the British. But at midnight, India will be partitioned. Means at the midnight, India will be divided, and tomorrow will thus be a day of rejoicing as well as of mourning. Means we will also enjoy and we will also feel the sorrow, because India will get partition on the basis of religion. And that was the communal division, community based division. That partition was really very great challenge in front of them. Now we will deal that. There were three main challenges. Independent India faced three kinds of challenges at the time after getting independence. The first and the immediate challenge was shape a nation that was united. Means Akhand Bharat, united nation, united India. Akhand Bharat was the prime motto for them. Then second challenge was to establish democracy. Means the whole power should be within the hand of the people. And the third challenge was to ensure the development and well-being of the entire society and not only of some sections. It was also great challenges for them. So three basic challenges and very important challenges in front of them. Means India must force or enforce these three challenges and should work for that three challenges. And they had started doing for that. Understood? So it was that. And immediate after the independence, it was the challenge, because a development and well-being of the evolving effective policies for economic development and eradication of poverty and unemployment. This was very big challenge for them. Okay, so challenge to shape a nation as a united country and to develop democratic practice. Okay, it all about the challenges. But who was there to think about the nation? Understood? This was the very big challenge. And the real challenges now was to evolve effective policies. Evolve what? Effective policies for economic development, and eradication of poverty. In this chapter, we focus on the first challenges of nation building that occupied center stage in the years immediately after independence. How India chose to shape itself into a nation united by shared history and common destiny. It means it was a very, very challenging task for them, because economics condition was not good at the time. Policy were not in the favor of Indians. All the policies were made at the time by the Britishers, and all the policies were also favoring to the Britishers. So we cannot make challenges at that time. We cannot adopt that policies made by the Britishers. So we are very much conscious to create or to establish our own democracy, to make our own policies for the welfare of the Indians. So it was there. Understood? So this was the real challenges for them. And one more thing is that you should know the India's external relation at the time. Okay, let's see the world in 1947. Reconstruction of Europe after World War II. So reconstruction was there because of World War at the time. World War was there. An attempt to establish a new international body was underway. So international scenario was also not good at the time when the partition took place. Decolonization and coming of new nations and twin struggle of democracy and welfare. At that time, the separate countries were there, okay, who was establishing themselves after the Second World War. And British left back with new international disputes, that was partition. You can even think that before going back, he created another international issue for India and a very big problem, that was partition. So after World War II, we wanted to respect sovereignty of nations and to achieve a security using peace. Okay, this is seen in our DPSP, Directive Principle of State Policy. You can also see that it is already mentioned our DPSP, Directive Principle of State Policy. Understood? So this was the India's external relation at the time. I had already told you two goals during the freedom movement. It was India shall be a democratic country. Government will be run for the good of all. Okay, like present quote, सबका साथ सबका विकास. Who is सबका? सबका कौन है? Sabka means we the people of India. Understood? So three main challenges were also there, that was accommodate diversity and still be united. Okay, a continent sized country. So establish democracy, voting plus develop democratic practices. Understood? Development of all sections of the society. It was also kept in the directive principle of state policy under our constitution. Okay, so this all were there challenges for the nation building. Understood? So how you will understand that three main challenges, again with the help of this flow chart, means shape a nation which is united and carry all diversities. It doesn't mean that the different diversities will lead for the partition. No, it was not there. There must be unity in diversity. It was very challenging issue for them. Understood? Then what was that diversity? Culture, religion, language. It was the very big challenges. Understood? Then establish what? Democracy. Means representative democracy based on the parliamentary form of government. Understood? So India has adopted parliamentary form of the government. And third one was development and well-being of entire society. So development, we are talking about the social development, political development, economic development. Okay, so principle of equality, a protection to all socially disadvantaged group. So it was that there. Okay, so provide the equal status to all in India. Understood? So this was the major thing. Then one question I'm going to deal here: what were the challenges immediately after the independence? So independence came with peace. So with price of partition, sorry, with price of partition, and which was preponed carried principle of religious majorities, which was not so simple, to areas of concentration in east and in west. So not all Muslim majority areas wanted to be a part of Pakistan. Means all Muslims were not agree with the statement, with the decision of Jinnah and the leaders that there should be the partition. No, all Muslims were not agree. For example, Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan, also known as Frontier Gandhi, he was not agree with that. Two provinces, that is Punjab and Bengal, large areas, non-Muslim majority. So religious majority was checked at distinct level. Religious majority, distinct level or even lower. So problem of minorities was that become aliens in their own land and attacked. Means this was the scenario. People were not happy about that getting independence after so long years of waiting. So they were not that much happy. Why? Because this was the communal violence. Muslims had started, we want the separate country. I'm not talking about the all Muslims, because I had already mentioned here, means all Muslims were not agree, but most of the Muslims were agree with that. So killing and rapes in name of religion or religious conversions, it was so heinous moment at that time. Cities like Lahore, Amritsar and Kolkata, that was the communal zone where most of the violence were taking places at the time. Temporary shelter by minorities in refugee camps, local administration, police, they were unhelpful, because temporary shelter cannot decide your permanent address. So this was very great challenge, big challenge. Demographic and economic challenge was also there. Division of property, small thing like typewriters, musical instrument, of police bands, employees of the government, and most importantly of hearts. So cultural expression, movies, plays, and books, it was a very challenging at that time. Means everyone was conscious. Means suppose one of the student want the same book, other were also demanding the same book, but if you are having single book, you must keep it in the name of the nation. It doesn't mean that you will fight for that. No, it is not good. And it was there. Everyone was thinking that it should be mine, it should be of mine. I mean, suppose there is one, British has left some weapon, so Muslim was that it should be in the name of Muslim, it should be in the name of Hindus. No, it was the situation. So defining the future India, Indian National Congress didn't believe in two nation theory, and India could not be a Hindu nation. So Indian National Congress was not agree that India should be partition. No. It should not be there. They were not agree. Means 1/3 of the area and 25% of the population, means 565 overall, was what? Under the under the was the province and province. Okay. So British had announced lapse of paramountcy. British also free to join either country or be independent. So this decision was left to princely rulers and not people. So king can take decision. It was not in the hand of the people. So first was what? Travancore announced independence, followed by Nazim of Hyderabad. So Travancore still is part of Puducherry. Okay. So they themselves announced that we are independent. Because they were not thinking about the part of India. So they posed serious threat, unity and idea of democracy. As we know, it was not an easy task. For example, there were 14 big states in today's Saurashtra region of Gujarat. Means 14 big states were there in the Saurashtra region of Gujarat. So it was very challenging to merge that state into India. Understood? So you can see here India before and after partition. And this is the India. This is the India after independence. And this is the Pakistan after partition. And this was the map of India at the time. And all the yellow was under the rule of British India. And the blue shows that it was the princely states. King, it was ruled by the king. Understood? So this was there. So our approach towards princely states was there should be the league said, let them decide on their own, but we were firm. Means Sardar Patel, the deputy prime minister and home minister at the time, took very big challenge to integrate all that thing. Understood? Policy of negotiation, reasonable force, diplomacy. It was there. Policy of negotiation first, then reasonable force, then diplomacy. All these three methods were put to merge India, merge all the princely state into the India. So what guided our approach? क्या था जो guide के इस approach को? People of princely state wanted to be part of Indian Union. King was not favoring to the Sardar Patel. They want to keep it away from India. But people of the princely states were, ready to join in Indian Union. Understood? Government was also flexible to give autonomy to some regions. Some autonomies was also given to them. They were ready. आप अपना सत्ता चलाए लेकिन देश का ही भाग होगा. At any circumstance, it will be the part of United India. Autonomy will be given to you. But it doesn't mean that you will make a separate country or separate state. No, it is not allowed. So, demarcation and consolidation of territory was a challenge. It was very challenging task for them. Accession of Junagadh, Hyderabad, Manipur and Kashmir proved difficult. Out of all that 565 princely states, these 5 was very, very challenging. And still we are struggling with Jammu and Kashmir. We are very great to experience the that 370 article 370 has removed. Understood? So this is there. We are very, very thankful. It is removed from the constitution, and that Jammu Kashmir is now became a union territory. Understood? Junagadh was resolved using plebiscite. Hyderabad, largest princely states, included parts that was Maharashtra, Karnataka, and Andhra Pradesh. Nizam Nizam wanted means Nizam wanted independent status, so entered into standstill agreement with India in November 1947, because it was August when India got freedom. Okay, but in November 1947, he Nizam entered into standstill agreement, means the agreement which will be highly recognizable, means no one can stop that power, no one can withdraw that power. So personality sorry peasantry and women victims of Nizam's operations begins a people's movement supported by communist and Congress. Okay, so Nizam, uh, it was paramilitary force who freed the Hyderabad from the Nizam and able to make a part of United India. September 1948, army moved in and finally accession took place. So this was the scenario. Means forcefully Junagadh and the Nizam of Hyderabad get added into the United India. Then we will talk about Manipur, the challenges at the time. Few days before independence, Maharaja Bodh Chandra Singh signed IOA and assurance of internal autonomy. So, on pressure of public, Maharaja held election in June 1948 at Manipur and become constitutional monarchy. Means he participated in the election and became a constitutional monarchy. And first part of India election on universal adult franchise. At that time, the age was 18 years. So in legislative assembly, Congress wanted merger, others didn't. GOI, that is Government of India, pressurized Maharaja into a merger agreement in September 1949 without consulting legislative assembly. And so this led to resentment, and the effects of it are still felt in the state. So it was very challenging. Understood? So Government of India pressurized Maharaja into a merger agreement on September 1947 without consulting legislative assembly. So they started putting the pressure over the kings of that states, princely states. Please join, otherwise we will take police action and whatever appropriate action should be taken for them. Then the next challenge was reorganization of states, internal boundaries redrawing based on language and culture, colonial rule drawn merely an administrative convents and their annexation. So these were artificial divisions. Nagpur session 1920 had rejected them, promised linguistic principles. In fact, provincial Congress committee were created using linguistic zones. So, principles that was promised linguistic principles rejected them. And in fact, provincial Congress committees were created using linguistic zones. Understood? So it was the Nagpur session 1920. After independence, we thought this linguistic promise might be difficult as we must focus on socio-economic challenge. Understood? And fate of princely state was still undecided. Memory of partition was still fresh. So it was started since 1920, but still it was very hard to create the state or reorganization of the state on the basis of language. So a protest in Telugu speaking areas of Madras province and Vishalandra movement. It is Vishalandra movement. Okay, so demanded a separate Andhra Pradesh. Understood? So Potti Sri Ramulu, okay, Potti Sri Ramulu, a Congress leader and a Gandhian, okay, indefinite fast led to death. Okay, so he started strike or indefinite fast. It was led to his death. Okay, so unrest led to PM announcing a separate Andhra in December 1952, and demand by others plus appointment of SRC in State Reorganization Committee in 1953. It was the demand. So commission accepted that state boundaries must reflect boundaries of different languages, but language shouldn't be the single criteria. Means commission given the report, in that it was mentioned that it is okay, we are giving the special status to the Andhra Pradesh and separating from the Madras province. However, it was not the single criteria on which we are separating, or we are reorganizing the separate Andhra Pradesh. No. So State Reorganization Act 1956 came into the force, led to the 14 state and 6 UTs. Okay, with the help of State Reorganization Act 1956, 14 states were separated and 6 union territories. So, and all this was seen as steps to promote more democracy. Okay, and it was the reflection of the promotion of democracy. So democracy was reflected with the help of all this. You can see here the State Reorganization Committee, and this is what so the choice was very high of the people, the demand was very much high, but the State Reorganization Council or committee was very much particular about the separation of the states. Okay, so then another question we are going to discuss here: did this policy of linguistic reorganization help? Today we see that linguistic reorganization has changed the nature of democratic politics. Rise of what? Rise of regional parties. Politics opened to leaders from diverse background. Means at that time there was single party system, But right now, because of the partition or because of separation of the state on the basis of language, the different regional parties, central party and state party, came into the existence. And this is the symbol, and this is the reflection of more democracy and the promotion of democracy. So linguistic reorganization also gave uniform basis of redrawing of boundaries. Okay, so it didn't lead to disintegration, okay, of country as was feared. On the country, it is strengthened unity. So it underlined acceptance of diversity. So policy of linguistic reorganization helped a lot. You can see here I've already explained all this thing, and this content justify that policy of linguistic reorganization help. Additional points which I want to add here: Gandhiji's contribution in that didn't celebrate independence, rather helped Kolkata right victims. I'm happy to see that India didn't honor its financial commitments to Pak and was disturbed by riots that took place. So he turned fast, and this had an impact of violence reduced. Government of India agreed to give Pak its dues. After Gandhi's death, partition related anger suddenly subsided, and government cracked down on organi- organizations like RSS, which were banned. It means, so this additional points provides us the basic information that Gandhiji was not happy at the time. He was not celebrating the independence of India. Okay, and he was helping at the time the victims of the Kolkata riots. Also, I'm happy to see that India didn't honor its financial commitment to the Pakistan. Okay, still he was worried about the Pakistan. Means we must provide the financial assistance to the Pakistan, and the commitment committed before the partition. So he, turned too fast, and this had an impact as violence reduced. So this was the scenario. This is about the integration of princely states. Princely states cover one time of the land area of the British India Empire, and one out of four Indians lived under princely rules. Okay, so this was about that. There was State Reorganization Commission. We will put it in the separate, lecture. Now few points I am also going to discuss here, and that point was based on the State Reorganization Commission. I had already explained about this thing. India after reorganization, administrative map 1961, Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, Delhi, Jammu Kashmir, Punjab, Rajasthan, Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Andhra, Mysore, Kerala, Madras, Odisha, West Bengal, Assam, Northeast Frontier Agency, Naga Hills, Manipur, Tripura. So this was the India after reorganization administrative maps 1961. Okay, so we are going to deal with some two, three basic points I want to deal here. In the States Reorganization Commission, Sir Syed Fazal Ali, and Fazal Committee was also there. Okay, and Sir Syed Fazal Ali was the chairman of the State Reorganization Commission. Then second one, Hridayanath Kunzru, he was member of State Reorganization Commission. Sardar Kavalam, okay, Madhava Panikar, he was also member of State Reorganization Commission. And now the challenge was to draw the internal boundaries of Indian states. The boundaries had to be drawn in a way so that the linguistic and cultural plurality of the country could be reflected without affecting the unity of the nation. Okay, so the reorganization of the states. So Vishalandhra movement, that was Telugu speaking people, be made into separate Andhra province. I've already dealt about that in 1952. So there was emergence of the new State Reorganization Commission 1953 and redrawing of boundaries and State Reorganization Act. So 14 state and 60 UTs formed. Okay, I've already dealt there. So era of one party dominance was there. First election held January 1950. First CEC Sukumar Sen. Majority in all states except Travancore, Cochin, Madras and Orissa. Okay, in these states there were no majority, but except all this there were majority. Okay, so reasons for Congress dominance. What was the reason for the Congress dominance in the country? Single party, social and ideological coalition. Social base increased with every civil disobedience. Contradictory interest groups, accommodation, various ideologies. So this was the main reasons for the Congress dominance, because social and ideological coalition were there. Okay, they were very much collide for social and society and the ideology of the country. Social base increased with every civil disobedience, contradictory interest groups, okay, and accommodated various ideologies. Understood? So it was all about the first chapter, that was challenges of nation building. Okay, so most of the concept has been covered in this chapter. Okay, few timelines we will make, words that matter and timeline, the different video lecture for that. Okay, so thank you very much for watching the video, and I hope all of you are studying well, because this is the time where you can utilize your most of the potential. So please utilize your potential, try to learn maximum. Okay, so whatever problems creates in your mind or arise in your mind, comes to your mind, please type in the comment box. I will try to answer your question. Understood? So once again, thank you very much. Have a nice day.